All right, good morning, class. Welcome back to Algebra 3. Today is Monday, April the 27th, 2020. Your proverb for today is found in the last two verses of chapter 8, verses 35 and 36. And we're still talking about wisdom. For whoever finds me or finds wisdom finds life and receives favor from the Lord. But whoever fails to find wisdom harms himself. All who hate wisdom love death. All right. Section 2.5 is titled Transformations, and they're transformations of the parent functions that you just practiced. So I have chosen for the first four examples the same parent function, x squared, or the parabola. Okay? And to make a vertical shift, the black is indicative of the parent function y equals x squared. When I do the plus 1 to it with no parentheses, that is doing a vertical shift of the whole parabola up 1 unit. So each point moves up 1 individual unit. My preference for me is to think of it that way. Some people like a T-chart. So to show you how the T-chart is going to operate, you're still going to do the x squared values. -2, quantity squared is 4, -1 squared is 1, etc. And then when you do the plus 1 to that value, that's your new y. Okay? The new y is x squared plus 1. So when we add 1 to all those previous y values, you get 52125, which again, using the same x's, really it's just taking the parabola and shifting it up 1 unit. It is a vertical shift, which I find interesting. A little trickier is going to be the horizontal shift. Okay, a little trickier is the horizontal shift. It's going to be counterintuitive or opposite of what it says here inside the parentheses. So notice horizontal shift, it's going to be affected inside parentheses. A vertical shift, no parentheses. Okay? So if it says -1, it's going to be counterintuitive, or it's going to do a shift to the right or in the positive direction. So opposite negative, it's going in the positive direction. 1 unit, and I chose 1 for both of these. All right, it's opposite of what you think. And you can do a T-chart if you choose, but for me, it's just easier to think. Okay, how's it going to look? It is 1 unit to the right. Each individual point, 1 unit to the right, or the entire function, if you will. All right, let's do some reflections. Now, these are all rigid transformations. I'm going to save the non-rigid transformations for Thursday, where you'll have a coefficient in front of the for us, in front of the x squared, like a 2x squared or a 1/2 x squared. It's going to do a non-rigid transformation. Basically, it's going to either narrow or widen the original function. So these are all rigid. Again, it's a vertical shift, it's a horizontal shift. This is a reflection across the x-axis. When there's a negative sign in front of the function, no parentheses. Okay? It's going to flip it across the x-axis. Basically, it's the same y values, except for now we put negatives in front of them. So it is a transformation, if you will, or a flip across the x-axis. Now, a little bit tougher is the flip across the y-axis. Okay, so you've got to figure out it's going across the y-axis. Well, if I choose the x squared function, nothing changes. It stays the same. What was over here goes this way. What's here goes this way. Across the y-axis, there is no change in the picture. And so that's when we need a different function. I'm sure you can see this one, but I'm going to scoot it down a little bit anyway. So I chose again a reflection across the y-axis, but instead of x squared, I chose x cubed, which, if you remember, makes the S with a snake. And so to go across the y-axis, you've got to have a negative sign inside the function. So where this x was, I'm replacing it with a negative x, okay? So if you want to look at the t-chart, that's great. For me, it just says across the y-axis. So these points appear here, and these points in black appear here in green. Or it is a negative, all these are negative, it is a negative, and then whatever x was, and x was negative 2. So a negative, negative 2 is a positive 2, and 2 cubed is 8. A negative, negative 1 is positive 1. 1 cubed is 1. Now we have a 0 cubed, which was 0, and then now we have a negative 1 cubed. Negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Same for the negative 2s, we get negative 8. So where they were on this side of the y-axis, now they're on this side, and where they were on the third quadrant, they're now in the fourth quadrant. These are all rigid transformations of parent functions, and that's what you guys will be doing today. All right, blessings.